Qatar is a long way from Gaza, but it is the centre of gravity for a lot of the diplomacy that's going on, trying to de-escalate the crisis there, particularly over these negotiations between Israel, the international community, and Hamas, that Qatari officials are mediating. And what they're saying is that although there's no breakthrough at the moment, the negotiations are ongoing, and they hope if they continue, there will be, they say, hopefully soon, a breakthrough. But what they've warned about today is the prospect of a land invasion beginning, Israel sending in its tanks, which they say will complicate the effort to get more hostages out. They say to get them safely home depends on the right conditions. And what they're saying, the sources we've been speaking to, is it's more about the logistics. Getting more hostages out from across Gaza requires Hamas fighters going out, finding them where they are, and then getting them to freedom. That will be made much harder if an Israeli land war begins. We were hearing from the Qatari foreign minister, who's also the state's Prime Minister, Mohammed Al-Thani, but also Hakan Fidan, who's the Turkish foreign minister, who gave a joint press conference. They gave their assessment of where we are, and what they said was pretty critical of Israel. They say that it is involved in the collective punishment of civilians in Gaza, but also they said that the crisis is huge. There are threats of it spreading. This is what Mohammed Al-Thani said about also the double standards that his government and Turkey are accusing the international community of operating when it comes to looking at Gaza as opposed to other conflicts, for instance, Ukraine. How grave is this compared to what we've seen in the past, and how worried are you both that this conflict could get a lot worse?
There is a growing anger among everyone in that region, questioning the reaction of the international community toward those crimes that's happening against the Palestinian people. And what you have seen, what you will see as a common pattern of all governments of this region, is questioning why dealing in double standards with different people. What we see, any human being are equal with each other. If we condemn killing civilians in Israel, we should clearly and equally condemn killing civilians in the Palestinian territory and in Gaza. The number of children who have been killed since the start of this war is exceeding the number of children in the other war between Ukraine and Russia. And yet, we didn't see the same reaction. Cutting water, cutting electricity was considered war crime in Ukraine, and it's not considered anything but a reaction to an attack.
Now, the Israelis obviously say they are defending themselves after the biggest loss of civilian life in their history on October the 7th. The Qataris and the Turks say that killing of all civilians is deplorable, and they're not seeing the distinction the Israelis are making between the deaths of their civilians on October the 7th and the as many as 5,000 civilians now dead in Gaza. What we're also getting a sense from both of these foreign ministers and the diplomats around them is a sense of a lot of concern, alarm about the possibility about this conflict expanding, still escalating from way beyond Gaza, and the sense of a frantic diplomatic offensive still underway by many countries to try and stop that happening.